Why are my Dodgers ruining baseball, Jake?
They're not ruining baseball. I was mostly being humorous in that clip, but their actions this winter and the few previous winters are certainly putting the game in somewhat of a precarious position. I don't think they are the villain here. I think that the structure of the sport is more the culprit, and the owners that don't want to spend are more to blame than the owners that do want to spend. That being said, the Dodgers, who signed Kyle Tucker this winter, the top free agent available, for a downright preposterous 4-year, $240 million contract. Yes, that is $60 million a year. They are operating on a different financial plane than every other team, and that is a legitimate competitive advantage. Pretending otherwise is farcical.
I feel like baseball fans are either on one side of the aisle. You're on the aisle of the Dodgers are ruining baseball, or you're on the aisle of the Marlins, the A's, the Pirates, and owners that don't want to spend money are ruining baseball, where I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And both are the reason why we're having these conversations of a looming lockout in 2027. You mentioned that in that clip. Break it down to us in layman's terms of why we are talking about a looming lockout and your level of confidence that baseball will be played in 2027.
My level of confidence that baseball will be played is high. I think that there also will be a lockout. Last time there were CBA negotiations at the end of the 2022 season, the owners locked out the players on December 1st. That lasted, I believe, into early March. The season was pushed back by about a week. I would expect something relatively similar as the most likely outcome. Maybe it stretches a little bit longer. Now, why is there going to be a lockout? Well, there are fundamental disagreements about the financial system of baseball. Now, famously, in America, baseball is the only sport without a cap. Major League Baseball does not have a salary cap. There are luxury tax thresholds where if you go above a certain amount, you pay $2 on the dollar for every dollar you spend. But that has not stopped teams like the Dodgers and, frankly, the Mets from spending oodles and oodles of money on free agent players. Ownership and the league has been trying to institute a salary cap now for really since before I was born. The 1994 strike was a big part of that. And the Players Association takes a lot of pride in being the union that has succeeded in suppressing and warding off a salary cap. And so that is going to be the biggest sticking point during these negotiations, because the owners in the league, they feel empowered by a lot of the public perception that is swirling around the Dodgers right now. And I do want to be clear, like the what's ruining baseball discourse. I don't think baseball is ruined. Clearly, I don't. Like, I do this every day. I like the dang thing. You know what I mean? But like, I think the current setup has issues, but I don't know how anybody could watch last year's sensational World Series and be like, this sucks,
It's so hard for me because, the ratings are through the roof on the postseason we just saw. So every time somebody says baseball is being ruined, my answer is more people than ever are flocking to baseball. That World Series was absolutely dynamic. I don't really care how we got there. So let's get to some of what we're expecting from different teams coming in here. We got some actual action happening. Pitchers and catchers starting to report today. Blue Jays reporting today. They added some big pieces in the offseason. Do they have enough in your mind to get back to the World Series?
Absolutely. Anytime you employ Vladimir, that's certainly going to help the cause. Now, they did lose Bo Bichette, who hit the World Series winning home run before he didn't in Game 7. He's off to the Mets. The Blue Jays didn't really show much interest in bringing him back. Their biggest addition over the winter was Dylan Cease, to whom they gave 7 years and $200 million. He's going to be one of their frontline arms in the rotation. I think the Blue Jays lineup took a half step back over the winter, but their starting rotation and their bullpen took a little bit of a step forward. They certainly have the horses to get back to the Fall Classic.
Another team we're going to be talking a lot in the AL is, you guessed it, the Yankees, because death taxes and Yankees.
What?
People
care about the Yankees?
I've never heard of them.
If you've ever heard of them, yeah.
All those people
It's
you see
weird
walking
up-and-coming
around
team.
European cities with that N and Y hat, like they're all Yankees fans, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Because we could just, ask every person wearing a Bronx bomber on their head, hey, name a Yankee.
Yeah.
$1.
Yeah.
Ma'am, for $1, name a Yankee. Did they do enough this past offseason to make a run and get to the World Series?
I mean, did they do it? They basically hit like Command R and just refreshed last year's season. 6 players that hit free agency from last year's team, they brought back. Now, that's Cody Bellinger on a 5-year deal, and then 5 dudes on 1-year contracts, Paul Goldschmidt, Ahmed Rosario, a handful of kind of back of the rotation pitchers. They did not add, they did not subtract. They're simply running it back. Like, this is the most let's run it back that we've seen in some time. Now, the argument for that is they won 94 games, tied with the Blue Jays. They lost the division on a tiebreaker. They had the best offense in the sport. And this year, they're going to get Garrett Cole back from Tommy John surgery, one of the best pitchers in the world, who missed all last season. And so I think there's a very legitimate argument to simply running it back. Is it an exhilarating prospect for diehard Yankees fans? Not really, but that's not a group that people are playing tiny violins for.
It's always a tiny violin, too, which, by the way, would be brutally difficult to play. I'm just saying. Let's go to Detroit. Skubal wins arbitration, $32 million. What's that mean for his short-term and long-term future with Detroit?
Dude, the arbitration thing was like, baseball arbitration is a super duper weird mystery box that is literally the definition of inside baseball. The way to kind of handicap that conversation is Tarik Skubal wanted $32 million. The team wanted to pay him $19 million. They go in front of 3 strangers that are independent arbitrators who decide that he gets 32 or he gets 19. There is no meeting in the middle, and Tarik Skubal won. Now, what does that mean for his short-term and long-term prospects? Well, long-term, it means that his great-grandchildren get to go to whatever private high school they want. Not that he's, hurting for dough. I don't think this necessarily changes the likelihood that he gets traded. I think if the Tigers are in it, they will hold on to him at the deadline. I think he will hit free agency this winter and be one of the most highly prized pitching free agents that we have ever seen. He will break all sorts of records. The arbitration thing is more impactful for what it means for other players moving forward, just because it completely reset the market in terms of what arbitration eligible pitchers are making.
We also saw Justin Verlander report back with the Detroit Tigers, excuse me. 43 years old. I watched him last year at spring training, and I thought, man, he doesn't look 42, but back at 43. Is this the last run for Justin Verlander?
I don't think so. He has been very public that he wants to pitch till he's 45. Why? I don't know. I'd want to go on vacation. Kudos to him, though. The future Hall of Famer wants to keep it rolling. Is he dominant still? Absolutely not. Is he competent? Absolutely. He will be in the Tigers rotation. He was a slightly above average league average pitcher last year. And it's just a cool story for him to come back home to, finish his career maybe where it all started. Remember, he was drafted by the Tigers in 2004. Okay. 2004. The Expos were still in Montreal when Justin Verlander was drafted by the Tigers, and here he is back at the D. This is cool. Like, this is a cool thing for Tigers fans to go to the yard and see every day.
It's an amazing story by far. It's never too early to get your World Series prediction. Look, we got to get you on record. So who are the Dodgers beating for their 3rd straight then this year?
All righty. I've given it absolutely
the thing is, like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
he's not wrong. And the worry is legitimate. And this is part of the reason why I think, like, the discussion about the Dodgers is a little overblown. Baseball's so random. We play 162 games, and then there's only, 5 games in that first round. And so the chances that the Dodgers, have a couple bad days are high. Remember, they were 2 outs away from not winning the whole thing. Right? It was not out of the realm of possibility. It's funny. You say, like, give me your World Series prediction. Dude, I legitimately haven't thought about it, like, one bit. The calendar has turned to February, and I haven't given it one thought. But to give you an answer that I will not stand by even a little bit at any point, I will say that the New York Mets will win the World Series, and they will beat the Seattle Mariners. They will beat the Seattle Mariners. You heard it here first. I have tons of confidence in it. Honestly, this week, I'm just riding high that football's over. Like I'm happy for everyone else, but now it's my time to hop into the spotlight. Former big league infielder Juan Uribe famously said, quote, more football. Oh, curse word, bleeping curse word, uncurse word, believable baseball. That's what I want to watch. And that's how I feel right now.